So to step away from season one, let's get into season two. So season two premieres Friday, December 17th, 2021. It's slated for 8 episodes. I want to go ahead and pull this out the bag. For the Marvel fans who enjoy The Witcher, you're going to have to take an L. I feel like everybody's prepared to take that L. Because
the streaming service, it'll be there tomorrow.
It's gonna be there tomorrow, but Spider-Man is about to put everybody in a chokehold.
Yeah, no, that weekend belongs to tomorrow.
That weekend belongs to Spider-Man. So, but I don't see it as a bad thing. The Witcher is not competing with the Marvel Universe. They're in two separate lanes. So, it's going to get its revenue one way or another, but you guys, we're going to have to... Spider-Man is taking over. But before we get into the discussion, I want to talk about the season 2 trailer. So they released... It's 2 of them. They released one in September and they released another one like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go straight fan kid of how they sampled Kanye West's Monster for the trailer.
It fit really well.
It fit. That jump was fire. Because when they did the intro, I'm watching the trailer, and they get into the intro where it's like, sacrifice your life. And I was like, Kanye? Monster? And so I guess the series is focusing more of like the monster within instead of like the physical monsters. And I was like, for them to be advertising that along with Kanye's Monster song, it fit. It definitely drew me into the trailer. And if you weren't excited for season 2 before, I think this trailer solidifies the hype for it. And I also love the fact that when you're watching a trailer and you recognize the song. Does anybody ever get like goosebumps?
No, I love that.
When you recognize the song that they're sampling in the trailer, it just makes the experience so much better.
And another thing, you know what really hyped me for season 2?
What?
The fact that they dropped the animated movie. The fact that they dropped that animated movie and it was so well executed hyped me up for season 2. Because for like fans like you who are kind of like just being introduced to The Witcher, when you showed me the trailer, was able to talk about how in the trailer they showed the tree of all the School of the Wolf medallions from all the previous Witchers who failed the exam. Well, the trainee Witchers who failed the exam.
Yeah.
I like that they alluded to stuff that you saw in the animated movie, because I almost see it's the animated movie as a marketing tool for the live action series.
Definitely.
And it just looks more exciting. We're going to see some more Ciri. I didn't see Triss in the second trailer, but it's going to hit. It looks like it's going to hit.
That's what I was about to say, is that it looks like we're getting...
See who?
I didn't see Triss Marigold in the trailer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know it's Triss either.
Yeah.
And I like Triss because like what I was telling Portia, like off camera, is the fact that if you, at least based off the video games, I haven't read the book, so I don't know how accurate they are. Ciri's relationship with Triss is more of that of like a sister, while her relationship with Yennefer is like that of a mother and a daughter. Like Yennefer is almost like a mother figure to Ciri. So for the fact that it seems like they're going to focus a lot more on Ciri in season 2, I wonder if they're going to introduce Triss and Ciri's relationship in that season, or is it going to be more of a focus on developing that mother-daughter situation between Yennefer and Ciri?
It looks more like
because
the
it is an
mother-daughter
interesting dynamic.
It looks more like the mother-daughter situation to me, based on the trailer. But one of my things was that what I wanted to see was basically the aftermath from the final battle. So basically everybody's split up at this point. Like even in the trailer you see Yennefer with the evil mage that was working for Nilfgaard. And then Ciri is with Geralt. So it's no telling where everybody else is. So we could see Trish, or maybe she's somewhere else that what they're trying to explore for this season, we may not get her.
Yeah,
but
Oh, well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, so you can finish.
I was just going to say, coming off the trailer, it looks like we're getting more monsters. We did get a taste of seeing more Witchers. I don't know if this is going to be another split timeline thing or a flashback or something like that, but it does look like we're going, because to get into the synopsis of season 2, to go ahead and put that out there. Convinced Yennefer's life was lost at the Battle of Sodden, Geralt of Rivia brings Princess Cerelia to the safest place he knows, his childhood home of Kaer Morhen. Mm-hmm. While the continent's kings, elves, humans, and demons strive for supremacy outside its walls, he must protect the girl from something far more dangerous, the mysterious power she possesses inside. So that's the synopsis for season 2. So I forgot what point I was trying to make before, but I wanted to get the synopsis out before we got into the discussion. So the discussion that I want to have is that, what are we expecting from season 2? Even like the things that we didn't see in the trailer, or if there was something that you were expecting that when you watched the trailer, it confirmed it for you.
Jay, did Siri go through official Witcher training?
Yeah, basically. That's so. I mean, this is supposedly, as far as I know, I believe this is like her beginning of her Witcher training. What I'm interested.
Did she go through the full transformation too, or was that based off her powers? The way that
so I thought she didn't go through the full. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought she didn't go through the full transformation because they were like missing some stuff. Like
they're unable to. Well, if you remember in what is it called? The movie The Wolf,
Nightmare of the Wolf.
Nightmare of the Wolf. The wizards who were responsible for making Witchers no longer exist because they all got ghosted.
That was it.
Right.
The reason, but Ciri's training as a Witcher is a little. I don't know if it's different, but I'm assuming it starts in this part because by Witcher 3 she's a full-fledged, actual like her own Witcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to see Ciri learn how to control her abilities, but also like how Geralt handles being like a dad hunter.
Yeah,
a dad monster hunter.
Monster hunter. I think that's interesting. So the reason why my answer to Ryan's thing about how they were going to go with the different relationships between the mages and Ciri, the reason why I think they're going the more mother-daughter route with Yennefer is because that was the reason that Yennefer and Geralt basically split. Because Yennefer was on her whole I want my uterus back journey, and Geralt was like, I don't want no kids. Haha, surprise, you have a kid now. And I feel like, obviously,
did they touch on the fact that Witchers can't have kids?
Yeah, no. So the one of the big things that he said in the argument that they had was where the reason he said maybe the reason people made us so we couldn't have any more kids because there doesn't need to be any more of us out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did say that. But I was just going to say that with him now being this father figure to Ciri, I feel like the only person who would be appropriate to support him would be Yennefer. So.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see, because they didn't show it in the trailer, I was wondering if Geralt's teacher is still around by now.
Yep.
Because
so that's the first trailer. So the second trailer shows some Witchers, but if you watch the first initial trailer that came out in September, Vesemir is there.
Oh, Vesemir. Okay, so they do show Vesemir. Oh, Vesemir.
So remember, Vesemir was alive in The Witcher 3, Jay, in the game.
Yeah, no, I know, but I was wondering, is this going to be when we meet him in the live action?
Oh, yeah.
So when they finally get to Kaer Morhen, Geralt explains that he wants to protect Ciri, and he's talking to Vesemir, and Vesemir is like, well, why does she need protecting, and who am I protecting her from? That was the question that he had. And I think that might be that's the question that they're probably going to explore with Geralt and Ciri's relationship. Because you have this need to protect her, but you just met this kid. Do you understand what you're protecting her from?
I mean, we don't even no one understands her abilities yet, except maybe the people that care more. So it's gonna be interesting to see that get explored, as well as what the whole aftermath of the Nilfgaard battle is gonna lead to. Because as you pointed out, Philip, Yennefer is with the Nilfgaard mage, and we don't know what all that's gonna lead into later. But
and all that political warfare has always been something else going on in the background of the Witcher universe. Like, yeah, Geralt's like hunting monsters and traveling, but war and all that is very much widespread.
And that bleeds into some stuff like how monsters come about and stuff like that, because people end up making monsters to help end war, or that starts a war, or stuff like that. Because, like, for instance, a lot of people were confused. I think the people who only played the games were confused at why Nilfgaard was an enemy in the first season, because Nilfgaard in the games is like seen as like, we're the most honorable high society people ever. We don't like attack.
Right.
And then you get to season 1 and it's like, no, we taking shit. We're here.
We are the bad guys. Bump it up.
And the funny thing is, if you study history, that's actually how it always is. Like, the winning team is always going to say we're like these great people, but
we
like,
have
no,
a
they
dark
conquered
history.
and killed.
You guys were murderers.
That's every country. But like, what I'm really interested in, honestly, Portia, is, and Jay, I'm really interested to see all these relationships being built. Because we saw Vesemir and Geralt in terms of, for like a split second in the animated movie. I'm really interested to see their relationship. I'm really interested to see them build a relationship with Ciri, because season 1 set the foundation for here are all these characters. And you see that Yennefer and Geralt have this little love thing going on. Now you're finna see Geralt's teacher, his new stepdaughter. You're finna see other Witchers. Now you get to see that dynamic between Geralt and these other Witchers, because it showed them all fighting. I'm interested to see a whole combat scene with multiple Witchers for one. I'm eager to see that.
Yeah.
But just all the emotions and the bonds that may be built. The Witcher universe is dark, the bonds that get destroyed. I'm very eager to see that. And it seems like Yennefer's story is also going on in tandem while Geralt is doing his stuff with Ciri. So I'm eager to see, like, what's she doing? Like, who you hate right now? Who you mad at right now? Like,
is it even as simple as that? Because the position is that she's in, is it really, oh, I hate you guys? Or is it where, yes, I despise you guys at first, but now that I'm inside the inner circle, do I start to feel sympathy, or do I start to relate to some of the things that you had to do while working for Nilfgaard?
I feel like season 2 is going to be the season where we build a lot of bonds with our favorite characters, or the characters that end up becoming our favorite characters. I feel like this is where those relationships between the audience and the characters get really established.
Yeah. I'm glad we brought up Vesemir, because that was one of my things that I was expecting, because in Nightmare of the Wolf we are introduced to Vesemir, but there are some notable differences between the Vesemir that we saw in the movie and the Vesemir that we're about to get in season 2. So I would like to see how they're going to portray Vesemir in season 2, and as well as once we get a taste of who this Vesemir is, how does he interact with Geralt? Because I wanna, if they go off how they did it in the movie with Vesemir basically coming out of the battle wanting to be better Witchers, better men, is what he tells Geralt. Does that philosophy stick with the Vesemir that we're going to see in season 2? And maybe that's what contributes to Geralt's character, why he is the way he is in season 1.
Also, what happened to those other Witcher boys that were with Geralt?
Yeah, that too. And I like that you brought up the tree, because watching the movie and then seeing the tree, it was like, it's the tree. But
yeah,
I like that I was able to make that connection with you guys, because y'all playing the game, y'all know the tree. I didn't know the tree. I was been like, okay, tree.
What's the significance of his tree?
And like, for the audience, the tree is basically all these MFers that died through those Witcher trials. Right. A lot of kids.
I think that's really the tree has so much significance that I was glad that I was able to feel that scene. Other things that I was expecting, we talked about some of them, like the after effect of the battle, Ciri's training into being a Witcher. I also wanted to touch on the timeline thing. Are we going to be exploring different timelines in this season, or are we going to be on a unified timeline and sometimes we're going to be on Geralt and Ciri's side of the timeline, and then sometimes we're going to be on Yennefer's side of the timeline.
At first I didn't even consider that there'd be timeline jumping because I was like, oh, they're Ciri's with them now. There's no reason to. But now, as you pointed out, Yennefer and them are separated. So there could be some timeline shenanigans with that if they wanted to continue that. But in my opinion, I think maybe for this season, I think we might be working on a more linear type of scale. It just based off what I've seen so far. Now it could be different because, like I said, they did a pretty good job of keeping that under wraps until the final hour in the original Witcher series. So, but I don't know. Just for this one, I don't think they're going to reuse that.
I don't think so either. My only argument to that is there's a scene in the second trailer where there's a group of Witchers and it looks like that they're battling Yennefer's ex-boo thing. The question is, when does that happen? Is this a flashback or is this another timeline that they're going to explore?
So, and that's what I was hoping for, because it looks more linear. I hope it's more linear, but after seeing that scene and also with the fact that they show so many Witchers, I am questioning, is it just going to be filled with flashbacks? Because it's not that Geralt and Vesemir are the last two Witchers, but it's very few.
Witchers, yeah.
And for them to have a scene, and I think it was like, what, 8, 9 of them?
I saw like 5.
I can't remember.
My eyes don't work so well. Hence the glasses. I saw 5.
It was enough. It was enough to where it's like a dragon or whatever monster pop up. They could do some damage. They could take down an army probably. So it's like, where did they come from? Or is this like a headquarters for all the very few Witchers in the world? Is that a flashback? I hope that they stay linear, but
I also hope that they stay linear. The reason why I hope they stay linear, and McMillian touched on this, is the way that season 1 ended. You can't end with this big battle, this big unified battle, and then come back at the beginning of a season and now we're exploring several different timelines again. It's like, no, I need you guys to be unified for at least 2 to 3 episodes to show me the aftermath of what happened at the end of the season. And maybe I wouldn't hate it if they got to mid-season and they started exploring different timelines, but I don't think I would care for it. So I just hope everything does stay linear. I think the timeline split in season 1 was just more of the introduction thing and introducing where everybody came from and understanding their characters through their past. But now it's like, okay, now it's time to hit the ground running. And I think the best way for them to do that is to keep everything unified from this point on.
Right.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So the other thing, what's up, Ryan?
Looking forward to some more monster fights. Not gonna lie.
Monster fights and something that we already talked about, how magic is hard to do in live action, but I do want to see more spells because the movie spoiled me. It is animated, but coming off Witcher season 1 and then watching the animated movie where Vesemir's like using fire and ice and all these other type of spells, and it's like, okay, are we gonna get that in season 2? Because that would be nice.
You got a piece of it. I think we saw Geralt and it looked like another Witcher using the thing where they use their hand to make a shield. Because if you remember, their hand, it's like the sigils are in not embroidered, but somehow they're branded in there. So we did see those, and I would like to see more of Geralt's dynamics. Because if I remember from the game, Jay, it's like wind, fire, pretty much almost every element
wind,
they
fire,
can brew.
Force. something like that.
Did they have ice, 2 or poison or something like that? It's
been a minute.
all.
But I guess
all
I'm
that's
coming
there,
from,
and the animated movie did a good job of showing that.
I guess I'm coming from, because even with the new force field thing that he's seen, the effects look the same. If you see the spells that he was doing in season 1, and then even the force field thing, it has that same type of look and feel to it.
So which I suppose is like more the new hotness.
Right.
To see the next big thing.
The next big thing, you know what I'm saying? So
I get it.
The animated movies for me, and I know there are limitations with live action because animation can do anything. But it would be nice to see more.
Yeah,
so the last question I wanted to ask you guys about season 2 is, what would break the season for you? If this happened, what would completely turn you off from season 2?
For them to say that they're doing 7 seasons, the one thing I would hate for them to do is mess up their pacing. I feel like when I watch a lot of different movies and series, a lot of them it's not too difficult to replicate making good characters. Give them some depth, a lot of books to show you how to do that. It's not too difficult to replicate building an interesting world. High fantasy, anybody can honestly make a high fantasy world. High fantasy is a very common genre. But in a series like this, you have to pace it well. We got interesting characters. You got the lore. You got the history. You got fans who probably only seen the animated movie. You got fans who read the book. You got fans who played the game. Don't rush and don't move too slow with anything. And that's kind of difficult. It's kind of hard to even give instructions on that. But I feel like pacing could be something that could mess it up. They haven't shown signs of messing up pacing. If those, the time skips could have been done better, but we also talked about why that was probably really good and played to their advantage. But I don't want them to mess up pacing. Let us build those relationships with these characters. Let us understand more about the world. Let us look at Nilfgaard and all these other kingdoms and their wars. Give us time to grasp what's going on and really let it marinate. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I want to compare it to how they finished out Game of Thrones, like how they were very consistent and strong with the 10 episode seasons. And then we get to the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, and they basically they limited the episodes, and they tried to force so much into those episodes that it didn't feel genuine. It felt rushed sometimes, and it felt like pieces of the plot were missing. So I would definitely agree with that for them to take their time with the pacing, especially if they are going to want this to last 7 seasons.
Y'all basically said it. Like, I think if they mess up the pacing and if they forget what makes characters them, because another big thing I think with Game of Thrones became the downfall is that characters in the final seasons or the final season became cliff notes of who they were built up to be,
right?
And started making mistakes that these characters that were built up for 6 seasons would not have made. Granted, they probably won't do that within season 2 because, like I said, they're still establishing these characters. But moving forward, something that does worry me would be like if they start rushing things because of the 7 seasons, or if they start making characters like less than who they were built up to be over the course of this many of these seasons or this long. But I think the fact that they probably have like a projected scope is going to help out with planning better. And because they have a defined probably stopping point. And so as long as they kind of keep their parameters around that, then I think we're good. Other than that, though, I think I'm kind of here for everything else. Yeah, because it doesn't seem like they're wasting any money on this budget based on the season 2 trailer.
Yeah,
and they seem like they're throwing more money at it, if anything. So if they keep up with how much dedication they're doing to it, I think it'll be fine. But those are like the only things that could really, I think, deter me from enjoying the series.
I had 2 things. My first thing was the pacing. My second thing was if the season loses its wow factor. So going back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, my first introduction to The Witcher was the series. For me to not know anything previously about The Witcher and to be fully invested, it sold me, but I would hate to get to season 2 and it loses what sold me to the series. It loses that wow factor. That it's coming off the hype of season 1, it's coming off the hype of this movie, and they don't put their all into season 2. Granted, the trailer doesn't look like that they're letting anything fall off. However, we do know that sometimes trailers can be misleading.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one thing that would turn me off from the series, if that it loses that wow factor, or it loses my interest. Because I want to say that's what happened with me with like Doom Patrol. Like, I love Doom Patrol season 1 had me, and then I got to season 2, and then it was like kind of like, okay. Granted, it picked up towards the end, but the way it started didn't give me that wow factor that pushed me to watch season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing, what's up, Ron?
I was going to say in response to that, and I hope that if you were to lose that wow factor, it's the franchise's fault and that you're not interested in that material at the point versus how Netflix adapts it. Because even if you play the games, there's a lot of stuff that does come later. Like even in The Witcher 2, you see a Witcher versus a Witcher. It's like Battle of Kings. I can't even remember. It's a very interesting dynamic. You see Witchers go against sorceresses, and it's a very interesting dynamic. And all of those things that they get to explore upon, like which is probably going to come in like seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if you play if you played The Witcher 3 the game and saw these enemies that were coming after Ciri in the game, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I hope that if you were to like that wow factor, if something ever slowed it down for you and made you go like, this isn't what season 1 was. I hope it's because of the material, because the material has so much left and so much lore that it got to get better.
I guess the other thing, I would hate for the season to lose its wow factor, even though I could easily go read the books or I could easily go play the games. I'm pretty sure that I am not the only one who got introduced to this franchise through the series. And along with me, I would hate for this. I would hate if season 2 came out bad and it left a bad taste in other people's mouth about this franchise. Because you can defend it. You can make a strong case to defend it based off the books and based off the movies, but the fact that you make a production of it and the production is bad, it sets people back from actually diving into the content as itself. And we've seen it with the Avatar movie, the Dragon Ball Z movie, that maybe after watching these movies, they didn't want to get into Avatar at all, though it's one of my other favorite franchises, or they didn't want to watch Dragon Ball Z or even get into anime because this Dragon Ball Evolution movie was garbage.
Boo-boo trash garbage. Don't bring that up.
So it's
that's
just
like literally the worst.
Like, these high productions have a really big impact on people's opinions on it. A very big example of this, and I'm very excited to talk about this. This is coming later. But the Arcane series. I don't know a damn thing about League of Legends. But after
that made me want to play it. But that made me want to go and play it.
As a public service announcement, just because you like Arcane, please do not want to play League of Legends. As a person who used to play League, I'm saying this.
Yeah, I was told that as well. But I just wanted to get my point across that you can know little to none about a franchise, and a production like this comes out and you're completely in love with it. And I would just hate this early. I would definitely hate it if this early they fell off. I don't think they will, but I would definitely hate it if they did. What's up, y'all? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get more updates from the mob. For the full discussion and more discussions like this one, click the link in the description. Thanks for watching.
rock with it. Let me pop my shit. Let me pop my shit. Hands up.